it is good to remember that this is what we are talking about here, an interpretation of the historical past from a modern perspective within a movement, and not exactly a course of scientific studies on the historical past, but rather a critique of the historical past to highlight modern problems. As I said here before, Margaret Murray's work, The Witch Cult in Western Europe, although interesting, is entirely based on ideological assumptions, a feminist critical view of the past, and her work has been fully discredited today, but still it is a strong basis for the formation of Wicca, or in other words, for the formation of modern witchcraft. Margaret Murray was the Egyptologist, folklorist, and first-wave feminist responsible for the first feminist study to examine primary sources, that is, archives from the time of the persecutions, directly interpreting the voices of those accused of witchcraft from a suffragist and legal equality perspective. I must emphasize that her work as an Egyptologist is formidable, is quite good and academically sound, which has given her a good reputation and made her a scientific authority in the field of history and archaeology at the time. Unfortunately, her study of witches and witchcraft from a perspective that was not capable of being impartial, but rather from a critique driven by ideological presuppositions, was what ruined her reputation. But nevertheless, it was this work of hers, The Witch Cult in Western Europe, that resonated in the political and spiritual spheres that developed in the context of the second wave of feminism. In other words, a work that, scientifically speaking, in relation to the historical study of the subject, is worth nothing, but which in the context of modern spirituality and witchcraft, notably of Wicca, and in the political context in terms of feminist expression, is still of great value. It is with Margaret Murray that we have an essential milestone in the relationship between witches and feminists through her work already cited here. Her work was well received at the time, actually, not only in the academic world, but also one of the great inspirations of Gerald Gardner in his construction of Wicca.